Pour a cup and connect with us today as we talk about reflecting Christ through creativity. This is Mugs and Mercy. Cheers! Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to Mugs and Mercy. We're so glad to have you watching and or listening with us today. We're talking about reflecting Christ through creativity, aka being creative, art, and how it connects us to God, Christ, and each other. So
we put out new episodes every Monday with things like this, creativity or anything that just relates and helps you connect to Christ and to your fellow women. And so,
female friends.
Yes, female friends. So we would love if you subscribe so that you're notified, or follow if you're listening. And please share. That is the best way to get it out and connect us to more people and people that just anyone you think would enjoy.
Mm-hmm. We dare you.
And
to
comment.
Share.
We love talking with you guys.
Yes, tell us what you want to hear about. We would love that.
Okay. Right. Oh, but first, ladies.
Yes.
What's in your mug? Christine.
Well, I've got a happy fall, y'all mug.
It's fall.
It is because it's finally fall.
We're fall girlies.
Still feels hot sometimes.
Even though it's a little beat up, I decided this mug needed to make an appearance.
So cute.
I'm drinking tea. Yeah, it's
nice.
Okay. How is this word supposed to be pronounced? Rooibos? Rooibos?
I've not heard that word before.
It's a type of tea that it's
Rooibos.
Someone in the comments tell us the
I don't know.
phonetic.
Send us a voice recording.
Yeah.
Rooibos, whatever. It's a tea. It's like a chai, but non-caffeine. Yeah.
It smells really good. I want to try that next time.
And the nice thing about it, it's got stevia as part of stevia leaf part of the mix, so I didn't have to add anything.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Emily.
Oh,
What's in your mug?
Oh, wow. Mine's kind of boring today, but I like it. First of all, it's Hawaiian punch. Or no, it's fruit punch from my mom's cabinet. So,
Okay. Thanks, Mom.
No dyes or anything. It's pretty good. I was just thirsty tonight. Also, this is the 10th Pan Am American Games. This is my dad's mug. Mm-hmm. And you can zoom in there. John... No, I don't know. We don't have anybody working for us.
It's Emily.
Yeah, it's me later. And yeah, this is my dad's mug.
It's cool and retro.
Ready?
It's got a parrot.
3, 2, 1. Katie, what's in your mug?
Oh, that was a little creepy. Okay. So y'all kept saying you stole mugs from your mom, so I'm like, oh, I'm gonna steal one from my mom. It's a purple mug with grapes. It's cute and
Very your mom.
Yes, it is. Yeah, this is her color scheme. It has ice water.
Whoa! How do you make that?
Yeah. What's your secret?
Ice filtered.
Yeah.
Hey,
Just kidding.
I'll have
we
what she's
water
having.
too. And look, don't they look like those old Flintstone mugs? Do you remember those that look like this? Cheers. I keep being ready to cheers.
I'm just cheers to y'all.
Okay.
Yes,
Wow.
and be sure to tell us what you are drinking while you're watching the show. So
I think
do
that's fascinating.
if you want to share, take a picture and do hashtag Mugs and Mercy.
Yeah.
And you can also add a hashtag what's in my mug.
You can also add an overly long description of your mug.
Just like we do.
Yes.
It's
Hey,
like we
you
get
know,
on tangents.
it's a way that we express ourselves, isn't it?
Connection.
Creativity.
Oh, I'm gonna do
Nope,
it.
nope.
No, didn't do it that time.
It's all good.
So.
I think creativity is important to all of us, even if we might not realize it, if you might not consider yourself necessarily a creative person. There are so many forms of creativity that I think are involved in everyone's life. And I think God put it there because God is He's the creator, and he created us to be like him and to reflect him. And so when we're creative, we're reflecting that part of Christ, which I think is really cool.
I love that. We're emulating him.
Yes,
We're
exactly.
being like little
Mini
Christ.
creators.
Yes,
creators.
we are icons. Okay, so ladies, when you think of creativity, artistic expression, a lot of times we think of the fine arts, and I know that all of us have been involved, some to greater extents, some are dabblers, but I was thinking, Katie, you've been a drama teacher. You've been in many productions and direct many
Yes.
productions. Can you tell us about your experience and how you felt like that was a reflection of Christ?
Let me just pull up my resume and I'll share. So I started doing theater when I was 7 years old, and I totally fell in love with it. And to the point that I decided to major in it in college, even though that seemed like a crazy thing. And then I went on to get my master's degree in theater education. And so that's really what I decided to focus on, was the directing and teaching side. And before this year, where we just moved down here, I was at a Catholic school. And so very much our whole program that I was directing was fully focused on how we are reflecting Christ in the things we do. And I always, even if it's not a specifically Christian environment, I'm always thinking about that. I'm always thinking of, like, if I'm on stage, what is my performance doing to edify the audience? And then if I'm directing a show, the same thing, like how can we show Christ, bring joy, tell a story? That's what theater is all about. That's what I love about theaters. It's all about storytelling. And so how can we tell a story that is going to be edifying to the audience and to the performers and to everyone who's involved in the production?
Christ is the director of art.
Yes. And even in, like, what is the material that we're choosing, and how do I treat my students throughout the process? How do I teach them to treat each other? And one of the things I love in particular about theater is how it develops empathy. And that was something, like, there's characters I've played where, you don't always agree with the choices that the character's making. But to really portray an honest character, you need to at least come to some level of understanding of what their motivation is.
Even if you're like the villain, it's kind of fun to, like, figure out why would someone get to this point.
And if you're playing the character, like, you're the lead character in your own story, right? But I like that. Yes. But so whatever character you're playing, in a show, and I encourage my students to do the same, like, even if you have no individual lines or you're the lead, like, whatever it is, you're still, like, the lead of your own story. And so you need to fully understand why your character is making the choices that the character's making and all of these things. And I find, especially when I went into college and was doing more and more theater in deciding to do this professionally, I find, like, that empathy piece, like, it really did connect to real life, because before, I would find myself saying, like, I really just don't understand why someone would do that, and I got to the point where I really could, even if it's a decision I don't agree with, and it doesn't mean you agree with everything that people are doing, but to come to a place of being more understanding and loving, even if people are not in agreement with me or not making decisions that are in line with Christian values.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's really...
I love that. I wanted to share my story.
Yeah.
I always have loved creating. Like, I always wanted to be an actor. That was my biggest thing. I wanted to be an ice skater, a ballerina,
I remember that phase.
dancer. And I thought, because we grew up Christian, I thought, God doesn't want that for you, though. It's too fun. It's too self-centered, maybe. I thought, like, he wants you to just go be, and not that there's anything wrong with it, doing something that you really don't want to do, like being a janitor at the local school and, like, being friends with all the children. And I know that sounds awful, but, like, that's what I thought. I was like, God's calling me to do something I really don't want to do, which is funny because I ended up working with kids as I was older and having a very similar job and loving it, though, being friends with all the children. Anyways, but when I was about 12, we watched Lord of the Rings, the first one, all together as a family. And it opened my perception of, like, what creativity could be, that it could be something that could bring out all these emotions and feelings, but be good versus evil, and be something that is fun and interesting, but really like emulates good versus evil, like God versus, all the bad in the world. And it opened this, like, writing world up to me, and I've been writing a story ever since then. I'm still working on to this very day. But and Lord of the Rings was, like, the first thing of, like, hey, I can do stuff and it can be impactful and it can have meaning behind it. It's not just entertainment or self-serving.
It can be edifying towards
It
others.
can be edifying towards others, and it's okay if it goes there if you play the villain. Like I thought, I'm not allowed to play like a bad guy because I'm a Christian or something, you know, but that's not the point. You know, the point is being able to do things and praise God, even if you're, you know, I got to play Sharpay in High School Musical, and that was super fun being a villain. And I've had different, so I did do musical theater too, and I've had a few different roles that were outside of who I am, and that's really fun. And it really does help you be empathetic and sympathetic to other people from different walks of life. And I think it's actually really cool as Christians to do things like theater, writing, painting, because it really helps us explore our souls too. And yeah, and the spiritual battlefield that's all around us. Yeah.
I personally haven't been like that educated in many of the arts, but I played clarinet in the band, yay clarinet, and I was in choir and I was in drama. But when I was in high school, back in my day, we didn't have musicals. We just had a little stage with plays, and so I missed out on that. Oh, also they waited till after I graduated to start the improv group. I would have loved that.
You would have been good at that. You did puppeteering.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was on the puppet ministry team. Yeah. So, yeah, I've dabbled in lots of things. And I even did some flower arranging in my college
You did really
years.
good flower arranging.
well,
You would do it
thank
for
you.
church and stuff, and it was always exciting.
Yeah, it was a fun thing that I discovered that was like, oh, wow, you can do this, you know, like normal people can like go be a like floral designer, you know. It was like, whoa.
I think with things like musical theater, things that have to do with stories or music, the bad parts of it, like the bad parts in the story or the villains, all make the beautiful thing of that show or book or story more beautiful. And I love that about it because that's like our lives. You know, we have struggles and we're meant to suffer and struggle, and it just makes the beautiful part of our lives more beautiful. When you find yourself doing things like flowers, it's very Christ-like because it's like dwelling on the beautiful things. Like he says, dwell on what is good, dwell on, you know. And so when we do stories and stuff, it's not that we're dwelling on the bad characters. It's that the bad makes the beautiful that much more beautiful, you know.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
I was thinking of a time that your mom was talking about, I think Jason Mraz or one of those guys, musician, who like always has like really happy, upbeat music.
Is it Pharrell Williams that because I'm happy?
No.
I remember she like.
Okay, has anyone ever noticed like that happy song doesn't sound that happy? It's got like a dark undertone. Is that just me?
I'll have to listen again.
Let me know in the comments because I really am like, this song isn't that happy. Like, I don't know.
Ask Nazo for his music theory perspective.
Yes. Analyze it, because am I the only one? But anyway, so Jason Mraz maybe, or some other guy who has like actually like really upbeat music. He's from like California or something. I don't know. I could be wrong. I could be totally wrong. Anyways, he said like he always has happy music and he always wants to have like a positive, like leave people in the positive because that's what he wants to put out in the world and like inspire people, you know. And I was thinking like, oh, like I can only make happy things, you know, like
That's
because
what I thought when I was little.
yeah, it was similar to that. And then like I realized I read another quote. I think it was just on Instagram or something. That was saying like when times are dark or when you're going through a hard time or you're struggling with these emotions, like people turn to the arts, you know, like they listen to that sad song that just gets them, you know, or they read the poetry that breaks their heart all over again, you know, like, or they watch that comforting movie, or, you know, like we turn to the arts for like that feeling of connection, for that feeling of like, you know, to help you through whatever. So I think, you know, I think there's room for, as long as you're not just like too, you know, use
They
discernment.
help us express. There's art for each kind of feeling we have, each emotion. We have, you know, songs for each emotion, and
yeah, think of the
books
Psalms.
and poems that go like along with how we're feeling. Yeah.
I think the Psalms are a good model for like creativity in this life because first of all, there's some like really sad Psalms that are just like, "How long, O Lord?" You know, that's like relatable. And then there's like the ones that are like, "Make a joyful noise unto the Lord," you know, like, praise God through dance and timbrel, and there's music, and even like the words themselves that the psalmists are writing are part of that expression and connection back to God, because it's all like being offered to God. You have the potential in whatever you're doing or creating, even if it's making dinner for your family, you can offer it back to God. What were you gonna say?
You could do it with anything in your life. You can be creative when you're, like you said, baking, a special meal for your kids and husband, singing in the shower, the way you clean and decorate your home. All these things can be ways to be creative and emulate the Lord. And I love that we have creation. I always look at like a waterfall or a sunset and I think like that's God's artwork. That's so neat. He's like the original.
Yes.
And we all get to do what he does. And I grew up thinking if something brings me joy, it's probably wrong. For some reason, that was like my messed up way of thinking. And so knowing like, no, I can take part of that. I can, write. And it doesn't have to be just like happy, happy, happy stuff. It can go there. Like the Psalms, like Lord of the Rings. I always bring up Lord of the Rings because that was like my jumping point.
And another thing, like you said, singing in the shower, it doesn't always have to be for an audience or for someone else to be a valid creative process that helps you connect back to yourself and to God, like singing for yourself, I wish I could run through a field of flowers and just be like, "Lord, I'm happy and I love you." I don't get that opportunity, but but even I was thinking about like journaling or like writing that emotional poetry that I think we've all dabbled in, but I still do that. And like just the process of writing it out and expressing yourself like really helps yourself, and God's there with you, or he can be if you invite him into that, like make him a part of it. And I think that's just as important as doing it on a stage for other people, like you can help them, but you can also help yourself.
And it's not just emulating God, it's a way of connecting with him. So if you're singing alone in the shower, you're connecting with him as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you guys if you've ever had an experience with a piece of art or something that someone's created that really made you have like a very spiritual or emotional response.
Well, I already told you guys Lord of the Rings. It's, you know how they say, like, what's your Roman empire? Like the men who always have on the back of their mind. Have you heard of that?
Explain. I have.
So there is this TikTok trend where wives realize their husbands thought about the Roman Empire all the time. And they're like
every day.
So all these women were asking their husbands, like, do you think about the Roman Empire every day? And they're all like, yeah. And so it's like always in the back of their mind, and everyone's like,
I guess I haven't heard of this.
That's so random. And so I'm always thinking like, what's your Roman Empire? Like, what's always the thing that's in the back of your mind? And it is for me, Lord of the Rings. And it sounds silly saying that out loud, but like, I think of like, Tolkien does such a good way of putting like the beautiful and the bad and making the beautiful all the more beautiful. Like kind of already said that. And like the simplistic lives of the hobbits, so that really affected me. But aside from that, I immediately think of a lot of good books I've read, but I'm thinking also of musicals because our family's all very into musicals. And Les Miserables, I remember getting the CD as like a kid and listening to it and being like, it's all right. And then I was like having a struggle in high school, and I remember listening to the very last song. It's like 10-minute long song over and over and like falling asleep to it. And it's basically, spoiler alert, where Jean Valjean is dying and all his family is around him like, don't leave. And he's praying to God as he's dying. And then he sees these people he sees
They've gone before him.
who've gone before him, and then this whole army of people and like all these characters from the show come back, and they're like singing this like triumphant.
I'm getting
heaven-
chills just
I
thinking
know,
about
I
it.
just got chills too. They're singing this triumphant, like heavenly, what do you call
Chorus?
it? Yeah,
Like-
chorus. It's like an anthem almost.
Well, it brings in the old themes from earlier in
Yes.
the musical from what they were
And-
fighting for.
And again, it shows him on his deathbed, like this really, really sad scene, and it turns into like this. I'm gonna start
Glory.
tearing up. It turns into like this emotional, like glorious picture on screen and on in your ears. But it shows like.
and on stage.
It shows like and on stage. So go see it. I've seen it many times, and every time, even like if it's like high school doing it, you get something out of it.
Yeah, there's nothing like seeing it live.
There's nothing like seeing it live, and the 10th anniversary I think is the best recorded version. I could go on and do a whole episode about this, and I'm
I
sure you
remember
guys could
listening
too.
to that recording in my car
Yeah.
on this CD player. We were sitting in the park listening to it together, just parked there and just like, you know.
Yes, and so then I would go back, and as I learned about the story, I became obsessed, and not like weirdly, but like I felt like so connected to the lyrics, and I know you both had similar experiences with that exact musical,
Yes.
and I think it's the best musical. Sorry, I could go on, but
One of the things I like about Les Mis is that thing I was saying earlier about it being edifying. So there's parts of the show that like there's characters who sin, like they clearly make choices that are sinful, but that's like the whole thing that the show explores is Javert's legalistic, like, no, you know, he's evil, he did this thing, and then comes to realize at the end that his lack of forgiveness actually is what's condemning him, and he can't handle it, right? Whereas Valjean, who has directly like broken the law and made some poor choices
and it was very bitter.
and it's very bitter, actually repents and forgives and then comes to love God and commit his whole life to God and then receives the heavenly image at the end, right? And so that's what I love about it is like that there's a story like that has these dark things that are true of the battle and life that we are living in this current broken world.
Exactly.
But that it can be overcome.
I haven't read the book, but it's also based on the book, so
Yes.
he gets some credit.
It's a long
There's
book.
Victor Hugo, yeah. Credit to him.
I wanted to share another musical that has really meant a lot to me, which is Godspell. For anyone who's not familiar with it, it's based on the Gospel of Matthew. Stephen Schwartz is the composer.
I love it. Yeah.
So it's if you just like don't watch the movie. Don't watch the movie from the 80s or whatever. Like go see it. Go see a good. Ideally, like if a Christian group is doing it because they're going to actually be intentionally doing justice to the story
And
of
the
Christ.
resurrection at the end.
Yes.
Yeah, always put in there. Yeah.
But it is just so beautiful. And I saw when I was, I think 13, I saw a Christian youth theater group do like the junior version of it, so it's just a slightly shortened version. And it was one of the first times I'd really seen like the relationship Christ has to his disciples, and like he's truly like loves them and is friends with them, and they like love him. And I it was the first time like I saw like that relationship he has with them, and then I'm like that can be like our relationship too.
Yeah.
And then I got to be in it when I was 19.
So good. She was amazing.
I was the day-by-day soloist, and again it was just like actually being in it with the cast, and I was the first one like when Jesus is resurrected and he comes back in, like I was the first one to like see him and like point him out, and it was so real for me because we actually were doing it around Easter.
Yeah.
That was when it was being performed, and so the audiences were coming, they were celebrating, and I'm like, it's like when I knew I'm an actor and this is an actor playing Jesus, but like the reality of like recognizing the resurrection and the joy that brings was so real in my heart, and it was a great experience to be part of that.
Yeah. It really brings it home that it's not just the story we read. It's like So I've watched that movie, which isn't the best rendition of it, but I've watched it on Holy Friday and like was bawling, just like thinking about it. But we used to have a director that would say, you can do good theater without God, but you can do great theater with God, which is cheesy. But it kind of goes with like every little thing, art, like you can do this for yourself, but if you're doing it for God, it can be that much more beautiful.
Yeah. Christine, what is a piece of art that has influenced you?
Well, there's many like art pieces that are stories and songs that have elicited a lot of emotion. But I was really surprised, like taken by surprise, when I went to see a Frank Lloyd Wright house. It was the Rosenbaum house that I got to see in person. Frank Lloyd Wright is a famous architect and from like mid-century times. And so yeah, it's called the Rosenbaum House. And I actually like was in the area for something and I wanted to see it, and they were doing these tours. I'm like, do I spend the money and go on the tour? I don't know. And I had just missed the cutoff for the last tour. So but the guy was like, well, you can go like look in the windows, that's okay, you can walk around and look inside, whatever. So like the last tour had just come out and I'm like peeking in the window, and the guy who was like hosting the tour guide, like saw me and he's like, can I help you? And I'm like, oh, they told me I could peek inside. And then he's like, come on in. And I was like walking through that, and he was like very passionate about it and telling me all these details really fast, and I was like trying to take it all in. And it was like, it's really small and compact, but like so beautifully done. I was just like, wow, in awe. And I like walked through it.
I remember you sending us videos from that.
Yeah. And I don't think you're allowed to take pictures inside, but I like, he took me through really quickly, and I was just like, whoa, that was cool. And I got outside and I was like, I just started crying because I was like, it was so beautiful. And I wasn't like, I don't know why it was like this emotional experience, but I just feel like just the beauty and the thought and the care that was put into making that house and maintaining it and keeping it, preserving it, as it was designed and intended. It was beautiful. And like, I don't know, maybe you don't always have to have a perfect explanation why beauty makes this emotional reaction, but you're like, wow. And I think whenever you have that feeling, I feel like it's glorifying God, like.
I remember one time we were on some sort of road trip and just seeing on this fence, there's this art, like a poster of art. I think they were having like an art gallery and they're advertising it, but everything was black and gold, and it was just like a black background with like gold stars-ish and a gold peacock. And I remember thinking that's the most beautiful art I've ever seen. Like it was nobody, I didn't recognize the name. It was just like advertising it and just being like moved and being like, I don't know, something beautiful about it.
That just made me think of a time that I used to have a really, really long commute to work in Southern California at like an hour and a half on the freeway or whatever. And so I remember being like in the slow traffic, and it's just not pretty. It's just not. And I was just feeling like blah, blah. And this white egret just like took like, they like, what's the opposite of late nature? Like took a flight from the ground out into sky, and it's a swoop of white and like long neck. And I was like, and I remember crying there in the car, being like, that was so beautiful. And I'm just like, thank you, God, for creating this bird, like these like bright spots in the world, and like so many beautiful things that God has created. Like he's just very creative and clever, like elephants and giraffes and platypuses and egrets.
I know. Silly animals, cute animals. I really think when I'm in the city too long, I get depressed, and I think part of it is not being around like real creation. And that's why it's nice to go to the museums and the parks. But when you're around nature and animals, like there's always something just mystical about it.
Yes. Yeah, it reconnects you. Any last stories or thoughts?
I think I just want to encourage myself, you ladies, and everybody to the little things in life to really find joy in them and find that creativity. It helps me because, like, for instance, it's not always fun to have to think, okay, what do I have to make the kids for dinner? What do I have to, like, do I have to clean this up or whatever? And it's like, this is a chance for me to be creative and it can be fun, you know?
Like Cinderella washing the floors.
Yeah, and singing and just, and like finding joy in the little things is
Mhm.
part of it, I think. So
Oh yeah.
it's just
That's
a
what I
reminder for
was-
me.
That's what I was thinking of too, is like there's ways to incorporate these acts of creativity to help us reflect Christ and reconnect, throughout the day and with other people too. Like writing a little note to put in my husband's lunch or something, like it's just a handwritten thing. So it's like from a person to a person, and just even a little heart or smiley face is like, oh, you thought of me? Oh, that's sweet. It's a sweet gesture, but I mean, it's not like a novel or, painting, but it's a little creative something inserted into the day,
And it's bringing someone joy and it brings you joy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, like I forgot to touch on like the non-creative folk, like I can't relate to like a scientist, but I know some people will get really into like science or math and they're like, they see these possibilities and things going on. Like, and I think that's part of it too, is the creativity there it's not artwork per se, but it is like that process of exploring and discovery and working with God to understand the world and yourself,
That was a good talk about
Yes.
creativity, ladies. Thank you.
Woo!
So that brings us to our next segment, which is our appreciations. So
Yes.
can I just start and say, am I allowed to say,
Yes.
I appreciate Frank Lloyd Wright.
Oh,
I
yeah.
appreciate people who put out good work that they are passionate about and they just do it all the way, I appreciate that. So God bless his soul. All right.
I just side note, that's why I love like when you find like a museum or a roadside attraction where like someone spent their whole life working on this project that you've never even heard of, and you're like, oh, this person's like putting their whole life into this thing, and it's really neat. I love that. I'm also gonna be thankful for some creators that I really like. Tolkien, C.S. Lewis, J.K. Rowling, a lot of those. What are the people who wrote Les Mis? They also did Miss Saigon, which is really good as well. But anyways, anyone who's inspired, and those three authors are the ones that pop out at right away. Thank you guys. You're awesome.
Okay, well, in the spirit of the creativity episode, I'm gonna say my husband, but I'm gonna say his music. So because he does church hymns, for anyone who doesn't know, knows Zach Eck, and when I get to actually hear his music in church or his CD when we're on our way to church, like it really is this like peace. And
Beautiful.
I hear about his process, and he really does it very prayerfully and doesn't write anything till he knows that the Holy Spirit is actually moving it to be written. Yeah. So I appreciate
his
him
music.
and his music
Is beautiful. You
I
should
appreciate
check it out.
his music too.
I do, yeah. And it's nice that we get to have him as our choir director at our church, which is really neat. We're very blessed for that. Yeah.
So that brings us to goals.
Goals. Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Katie, we need to get Katie out of here. Okay.
My goal was to eat more healthfully. I keep struggling. I have a couple good days, and so this morning, last night I committed to doing this. It's like the 30-30-30 rule, and you don't really do anything else besides that as far as a rule, at least. But you do 30 grams of protein within 30 minutes of waking up, followed by 30 minutes of moderate exercise. And I decided to make the moderate exercise cleaning my house, but like the intense, like heavy stuff,
Do you play music?
I didn't this morning. Maybe I'll try that in the future. But the idea is that kind of just protein's good to kind of wake you up and really get you going with the day, and then you're doing something physical, and
then 30 cups of coffee.
Well,
30
sometimes I
grams
feel
of
like
sugar.
that, but yeah.
JK.
Yes. But so I'm trying that, and so far so good. But
sounds
it's
cool.
been
I like
Monday,
it.
How'd it
so-
feel?
It felt good.
Good.
Yeah. Yeah, just keep it
My
up.
my pro tip is, because I do not like cleaning, but if you turn on really good music, especially musical theater music for you theater nerds, it makes me like want to clean and like I don't know. It makes it just that much easier.
You are Cosette.
Yes, I am Cosette. Yeah. Goals. Okay, I was like, I'm also thankful. Appreciations. No. I am also trying to eat better. I think I've been doing fairly well. I've had a couple setbacks, but all in all, if I think I know I could do a lot better, but if I compare myself to like a month or two ago, I'm doing a lot better. So yeah,
Progress.
It's progress.
Progress.
It's hard because it's a lifestyle change. It's not just but you do have to take it day by day.
Yeah.
Christine, how's your goal going?
My goal is okay.
Remind us of what it is.
My goal was to write down gratitude, like a gratitude journal daily. And so I actually went from doing it on my phone to picking one of my many journals to just put by my bed and try to do it. So I've got a couple days logged in there.
Ooh.
So it's happening, people.
Yes. Speaking of creativity,
I know.
doesn't it make you want to be creative? Like talking about it, it makes you
yeah.
want to go write or something.
It makes me feel like whatever I do matters,
Can I just say one more thing about the creativity thing?
Yes.
Is if I'm ever watching like difficult news, or if like an old friend or someone passes away, I always, like we were saying, I always go back to it makes me want to be creative too. I'm like, I gotta go write my book now. I have to go like do whatever God's calling is now.
Yeah. Isn't that like the rule in a musical is like the feelings are so strong they have to be sung, right?
Yeah.
Like they're like
Yeah.
feelings.
Yeah, you can't just merely speak them. Okay,
Yes.
anyways.
Or do a dance, a very dramatic dance. Okay. Well, on that note,
That was a good one.
thanks for joining us today. And this has been Mugs and Mercy.
Cheers.
Cheers.